Welcome to the Ward 7 show, and today we have with us Mr. Michael Owens, who is the director of the Ralph Ellison Library. And Michael, thank you so much for being a part of the Ward 7 show today.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
You know, we're talking about Ralph Ellison Library, and before we get into the library itself, you know, we have to recognize the icon of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and born in Oklahoma City, and the library named after him in 1975, and that is Ralph Waldo Ellison himself.
Yes.
And I know you are a historian, you are a writer, and when we look at the accomplishments of Ralph Ellison and what he meant to the world today, and what he meant to society at the time of his life and his writings and his scholarly positions at the various universities, what do you get from Ralph Ellison in reference to society today? And you look at America, you still have some racial divide, you still have political, social, and economic turmoil that exists in our society. And you look at the writings of Ralph Ellison and you go back to The Invisible Man and some of the quotes and some of the statements that he made. How would you fit those into today's society?
Well, first of all, Invisible Man is an incredible book. It's a high literary quality, won National Book Award. It's a timeless piece, of course. Mr. Ellison wrote about how to navigate a society in which one is invisible, and that experience, and has that correlates with race, social class. He was able to harmoniously bring all that into one work, which has, of course, today continues to be very relevant when we talk about being recognized, being understood, being included within a society where one feels left out of. Much of what Dr. Du Bois talked about, the double consciousness, being black but being an American, trying to reconcile the history of the black experience in America.
Right. When you read The Invisible Man, you know, he talks about that he's not a spook, but he is in this here's mainstream of society, although he's not always accepted, but he understands a role in which he is to maintain in order to get along. How do you perceive that as it relates to the civil rights movement? Because I think that when you look at the history of the civil rights movement, Ralph Ellison's name, or at least his posture, is very invisible in reference to the marches, in reference to the protest, but yet and still, when you read his book, it gives the same message in a literary and scholarly presentation.
Absolutely, Councilman. He was not a foot soldier, as we would say, in the civil rights movement, but his words marched with them. He, as I would describe it, as silent rage. He used the pen and the ink to articulate the very issues that they were fighting for. So although he was criticized himself for not being locking arm in arm with them, clearly, if you read his writings, you know where Mr. Ellison stood on the same issues for equality, against discrimination, for recognition, and for being able to take his rightful place along side of all of Americans.
Okay. March the 1st, 2012, Ralph Ellison would be 98 years of age. The Library of Congress had a fantastic presentation in celebration of his legacy, and of course Congressman Lankford from Oklahoma made it a special a special attempt to be there, and he was there. And when you look at the celebration of the life of Ralph Ellison, I know that other major universities throughout the United States are having symposiums in reference to his life and his accomplishments. And being here from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in 2000, well, in 2 years, it would be a 100-year celebration, and you would think that we need to start planning for that major
Absolutely.
milestone as it relates to the accomplishments of Ralph Ellison being from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And one other interesting fact, that Ralph Ellison didn't want to be a writer.
No, he did.
It turned out to be the best of probably all writers in the United States, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he wanted to be, of course, a musician, is where his passion was at. But the influence of Richard Wright on his life and introducing him to the possibility of being involved in that particular genre, I think he became to love it. I don't know whether we carry these passions and we do what we can,
Right.
but clearly his creative genius and what he did went beyond even those in his time, but even those today. You would be hard pressed to find someone that can be that creative.
Right.
With a novel and speak to so many different levels, the multiple levels in which he spoke to. It transcends black or white or Latino. He spoke to the heart of humanity,
Right.
so to speak.
Right. Talked about the many strands of the fiber in America, and
Absolutely.
when you look at some of the writings the publications after his death, Juneteenth, it's amazing when you read the number of pages of writings and manuscript that it is still stored there at the Library of Congress that they've been able to accomplish to put together as it relates to all the writings that never was published. And so we don't know how many more books could ultimately, come from the
true.
arsenal of Ralph Ellison. And so we will continue to discuss this issue as it relates to the 100-year celebration of the life of Ralph Ellison in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, with you, Mr. Owens. And we talk about the library itself. You've been at the library for 3 years, 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? A writer yourself, a historian. What was your attraction to Oklahoma City, to the Ralph Ellison Library?
Well, first of all, the name. When I saw the position, a friend of mine, a colleague from Chicago, had sent me the link and when I saw Ralph Ellison's name on it, I thought, who would not want to manage such a place like that? Ralph Ellison represents for me excellence. The Metropolitan Library System overall represents excellence.
Okay.
But specifically Ralph Ellison himself, I feel very privileged and honored to be a steward of something that is named after him. It's quite dear to my heart. I've always been a fan and an admirer of his great work, and relates very closely to a lot of the themes in his writings.
Okay. Now, the library it's under the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Library System, and you also have a very strong and active support organization that's part of the library that's been there with the library almost since its inception, and that's the Friends of the Library.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And
yes.
What are some of the mainstays of the Friends of Library for the Ralph Ellison Library?
Well, Judge Kenneth Watson is the current president of the Friends of the Library of Ralph Ellison, and they get involved in support and of the different programs that we have. They also help to enhance awareness of Ralph Ellison and his legacy. They meet every first Thursday of the month, and they're just a group of concerned community leaders that want to see not only Ralph Ellison Library prosper, but the entire Metropolitan Library System.
Okay. How do you measure the success of a library? I mean, is it measured based upon the number of books that's checked out at the library, or is it measured based upon the number of people who come into the library, or the different type of activities that the library has?
Well, I think all of those are measurements that you can use to determine success. And we do use those. We look at how many books circulate, and we have door counters to see how many people come in. So we use all of that to ensure that we're serving the customers correctly. But I would say fundamentally is how are we educating the next generation?
Okay.
How are we introducing them to quality literature, quality programs? Are they involved with life learning process?
Okay.
So I think it's a public institution that provides the information that the individual needs in order to make the decisions and also to be a productive member of society. So we measure that by how we meeting the needs of each and every one, regardless of age, race, color, or gender. How do you meet those needs?
Talk about the life activities and various programs that you have. I know that you have a program that works with fathers and sons and mothers and daughters. And
Yeah, we have what we call a girls' night out, boys'
Okay.
night out, where they come in and we open it up. And our goal is to bring in fathers, of course, with their sons, and also the mothers with their daughters. And we have a teen librarian, Taryn Kingery, that runs those programs, and we're seeing great success, great numbers coming out, and it's a great time of bonding. Gives them a chance not only to be in the library, but also to spend time with one another. You know how busy we are,
Right.
and to be able to come to a safe place and do that, I think is great. And it's encouraging to see fathers with sons, and also even mentors bringing kids. I think it's encouraging to see that.
Your leadership, you've stepped out of the box in several other areas. One would not think that the library is where you go to engage in health, fitness, but I think you all have a very successful program that's addressing the health matters of people in the community. Is that right?
Yeah, we have Tai Chi programs. We also have a lot of diabetes prevention programs there as well. We open it up for a community farmers market to come in and talk about growing your own food and so forth. So we believe in a holistic approach to the individual, and we can deliver that. We have the tools through the Metro system to deliver that, and we're just very excited about. And we have key people in the community, Skip, that come out and want to impart their knowledge, and so we open up the doors for that transference of that knowledge base. So Black Lawyers Association, they come in, they've given free legal advice, and so right now we have free tax services going on every Saturday between 9 and 4. So it's just a place we want people to know this is a place where you can come and your needs can be met regardless of what they may be. We can help you find that.
Okay. The library has been a recipient of another major piece of sculpture from Mr. David Phelps.
Yes.
That the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Library was so gracious to bless the library with a fine piece of art that depicts a world of Ralph Ellison, right?
Absolutely, and you said it. Thanks to the Metro system as well as the Friends and the Endowment Trust, and David. I mean, the statue is just incredible. I mean, it's a representation of his life. It has a dimensional effect on it. When you look at it, the image of Ralph Ellison turns as you walk. But he's got the biography of him hanging from the ceiling, as well as some other very interesting Oklahoma history. But you have to come see this particular art piece. And David stepped back, and when he looked at it, he said it was his greatest piece. And that meant something to me, because he's done just some incredible work.
And I believe there's there's the first Jim Crow law in
that was ever
right?
produced.
Yeah,
that was his idea, to kind of bring Oklahoma history in light of Ralph Ellison's writings. I thought he did a very wonderful job of tying those two together, and I think that's why it's still relevant today, because we're still facing those same challenges. Have we made progress? Of course we have.
Right.
However, there's a lot of work to be done.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for your leadership with the Ralph Ellison Library, and we're so fortunate to have someone like you that has such a passion for the growth of the library, and Ralph Ellison, being from Oklahoma City, we we will continue to work on this project to elevate his name and his legacy as an icon from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And so thank you so much for sharing with us, your views and your opinions, and of course your great leadership with the city of Oklahoma City and the library system. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.